Suicide by cop is hard when you're taking someone's life because you are forced into an action that you do not want to do.
Exactly.
And you're trying to exhaust every option, and then you have to kill somebody who is going through an emotional time in their life, regardless if they're trying to kill you or not. But having somebody force you to kill them is hard.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast. Thank you for listening to part 1. To do this story justice, we had to break it up into 2 parts so that the whole story can be told. Thank you for joining us for the conclusion, part 2, of the suffering of an officer-involved shooting with Mike Arena. I'm Kevin Donaldson here with Mike Failace. Welcome back for part 2 of the suffering of officer-involved shooting with Mike Arena. I know. I heard it all from you in the past.
Listen, I read the comments all week.
Yeah, it's not good.
Listen,
bad.
Listen, it's Kevin that wanted to do it. I wanted to do it in 1 episode. Kevin wanted to do it in 2. So everybody that's complaining,
but
put it Kevin's way.
We're really glad you're back. And while you come back, don't forget to check out Toyota of hackensacktoyota.com. Let them find you a car because we don't trust anybody, but we do trust them. Mike, thanks for coming back up.
Not a problem at all.
There was no way we're doing that in 1.
No, it's and I appreciate you guys having me back on.
I just didn't think there'd be any way he'd come to North Jersey twice in,
like I said, that traffic is a killer, but you guys are cool guys, so.
So his aftermath, Mike's aftermath has a lot to do with you.
Absolutely.
And when I first heard it, when I first heard what you went through, and knowing what you went through, I'm like, yeah, that in and of itself is a whole episode.
Right.
Mike and I had a phone conversation today, and we talked all about it. So we're right on the same page.
Yeah.
So I got another social media question this week, and it comes from Jacques Rule,
Okay.
Cousin of Ja Rule.
It says, who's a better singer, Frank Sinatra or Elvis Presley?
Elvis.
No, that's not.
I got to go with Elvis, guys.
Elvis is the only man I'd ever sleep with. Yes, that is a Suffering Podcast exclusive.
From the grave, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even being dead.
The only one you'll admit sleeping with.
So
That
Jacques,
one time in band camp.
hey, what happens in Vegas during his residency there stays in Vegas. So Jacques writes, is on the job, what call made you stop and say, wow?
Being a cop, you get into a lot of traumatic experiences, and probably one of my first traumatic experiences was a 3-year-old that was in a pool. Her parents, unfortunately, were heroin addicts, and they were doing drugs outside. They got high, passed out, let their 3-year-old wander into their neighbor's backyard, and unfortunately, she was found face down. That was definitely one of the eye-opening calls of my career. Like, this is how real life is. Like, there's no sugarcoating it, there's no gumdrops and strawberries in life. This is the shit that really goes on.
And see, that's what the general public doesn't see about law enforcement. All they complain about is, you eat donuts, you drink free coffee, you make a lot of money.
That is true.
But you don't see.
All those things are true.
Yes. I mean, they don't see
maybe
that.
Like the lot of money thing, that's kind of...
It's Jersey.
And the donuts, too. I don't eat donuts. So.
Really?
No, I never eat
I didn't
donuts.
I like donuts. I don't eat them, though.
Well,
I'm not a donut fan.
My hips get too big.
For when you sleep with those guys.
Mike, what do you think? I mean, that's a tough act to follow. 3-year-old face down. Their parents are going to be real pissed off when they sober up.
One that really gets me, and it actually resurfaced this week, was we were working, I think it was a Sunday morning, and we get a call of a cardiac arrest. And from a small town, I know the family. I knew the guy that was having the heart attack.
Yeah.
I knew his wife. I knew his 2 sons. Sunday morning, we're at minimum. I go to the house. Guy's on the couch. Almost blue at this point. Rip him off the couch. I'm doing CPR in front of his wife.
Right.
And his son went to Notre Dame. Right. So I'm sitting there. I'm doing CPR on the guy. And I'm trying to pump him up. I'm singing the Notre Dame fight song to him. I'm going like, come on, let's go, let's go. I'm like, cheer for old, just trying to rev him up a little bit. And we wound up losing him. But I actually ran into his widow the other day. There was an incident going on at a baseball game, fight at a high school baseball game, long story. I saw that she was close to it, so I ran right up to her, and I grabbed her and gave her a hug. And her friend said to her, she goes, are you okay? She goes, yeah, my protector's right here.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So that was just, you know, every time I see her, she goes out of her way to come over and say hi to me. It's one of those calls that just stuck with me.
Those
for
are the
rest.
tough ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. When you know someone and you're doing CPR on them.
It becomes personal.
Mine's a little less serious. We had a gentleman in town who, this is before the trans movement was as popular as it was today. And if you were to see this guy, he looks like about the 1978 state wrestling champ. Barrel chest. He used to walk around without a shirt on all the time, beard, bald.
Yeah.
He was an EDP. So we had to send him to a crisis center. And I had to stand there and watch him get dressed. Pulls down his pants and there's nothing there.
Wow. See, that's the wow moment.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Where'd your wiener go? You're like that's what it was. It was a wow moment.
Yeah.
And I certainly was. If you were to see this guy, I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
I really wasn't expecting it. But back in the day, it's a lot different now. But back in the day, in order to go through the entire sex change process, you had to go through a battery of psychological tests. And I think the only one that did it was Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. So it wasn't as easy as you could. He had his breast removed and was never able to go full
man.
Yeah, was never to go full manscaped.
Yeah.
And he wasn't manscaped, by the way.
Didn't have the whole plumbing.
No, yeah, it's that he was missing something. But you know, he was one of those guys that he just wanted to be listened to.
Yeah.
He was an EDP, but he just wanted somebody to listen to, but he was combative. So there was guys coming in there, and I can't say his name, but he would sit there, and you're watching his body language do this.
It was Kevin.
Yeah. You're watching his body. No, I actually got along with him because he kept saying, like, bugs are flying into the wall. I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah, I went to a hotel, and the bugs flying in the wall. So I always got along real good with him because all he wanted somebody to do was listen.
How many rookies did you put him up? Like, when you had a rookie, were you like, did you sit back and laugh when like the rookie went to talk? 100%.
Maybe once or twice.
We've all had those EDPs in our room, like, oh, rookie, by the way, you're going to go hang out with him today.
But whenever there was a problem with him, they would call me in there, and I said, guys, it's not magic. It's just listening to him.
It's just talking to the individual.
But when he pulled his pants down and there was no wiener there, I was like, wow.
That is the wow moment.
Well, wasn't that the most fun busting the rookies though back in the day?
Yeah, it was.
God, we had so much fun.
You always had like that EDP or that one house. You know what I mean? That when that address came out, you're like,
oh my God!
Here you go, young one.
Hey kid,
here you go.
Take care of this.
I work very closely with the police department in my town right now, in the town that I work in. And what they do to the rookies is damn near criminal.
Really?
It's damn near criminal. So there's a section of town where fog always sits. So they send this guy over there. Go see if it's a foggy condition on this road. Goes over there. Yeah, it's very foggy over here. Okay, make a call to the county defogging machine to come out. And this guy did it. And the same guy. So and I have to believe there's something wrong with the guy. He was dipping in there. He goes, I want to stop dipping. And it's like, well, just go cold turkey.
Right.
Week later, he comes back. He's, I've been putting cold turkey in my lip, and it's not working.
No way.
Which is wonderful. Which is absolutely wonderful. And he also thought that a 36,000 mile a year lease is, if he got up to 36,000 miles, he could just turn it in. But that's besides the point. But
we had a guy whose dog passed away, right? And he comes in, he's all sad, and he goes, my dog passed away last night. Guy goes, what are you doing here? He goes,
oh, no. Oh,
you get a bereavement day. You know, go in and talk to the administrative captain. You get a bereavement day for your dog.
That's messed up.
So the kid goes to the captain. He goes, Cap, my dog died last night. Can I get a bereavement day? The captain looks at him and goes, get the fuck out of my office.
And that's just messed up that he put him up.
but it translates to your new life. Like, those same little pranks, those little harmless pranks. I just did it to our administrative assistant. I was putting something up in the office, and I said, yeah, I need an Arthur head screw or screwdriver. Now, I don't know if you ever watched King of Queens, but Arthur was always coming up with schemes.
Yeah.
He developed the Arthur head screw, which was a manual A soldered onto the end of a screwdriver. Okay. Right? So I said, can you go into the boss, because he held the toolkit. I'm like, can you go in the boss and see if he has an Arthur head screwdriver? And I hear her in the back, and I'm containing myself laughing, and I hear the boss go, what? So it doesn't translate. I caught a lot of crap for that, but it doesn't translate really.
I mean, we were talking about today the dark police humor.
Yes.
That's how we get through the day.
That dark humor, even my job where I work now, it's a lot of cops, a lot of retired guys, and it's just how we make it through the day.
That's brutal.
If you sit around other cops, like, you're going to be like, yeah, what is wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
But it's
if
it's
someone's
how we do it.
listening to a cop conversation,
Yeah.
they're going to say you guys are fucked up.
Easily.
Yeah, I get that a lot. So, Jacques, thank you so much for sending that one in. That was kind of a fun one for me anyway. It was a little dark. You guys went dark. I tried to bring it back up. Keep sending in your questions. We will try to get them on the air. So, the last time you were in here, this gentleman, you had to shoot. No cop in the world wants to shoot. And that's contrary to what the public believes. Nobody wants to shoot. Nobody goes out that day and say, hey, I'm going to take somebody's life.
Last resort.
We don't get in this job to take people's lives.
You get into protect and serve, not to take a life. You know, we were talking about that. That's the difference in military PTSD and law enforcement PTSD. In military, you're a trained killer.
Right.
In law enforcement, you're trained to protect and serve.
Yeah.
So it's all PTSD, but it's
very
two
different.
different things.
Yeah.
I want everybody to go back and watch our first episode because we did play a short little clip of the shooting. That's public knowledge. And the reason that your name in that video is public is because of you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, pal.
Mike Failace. Because his...
I believe it's... I think the case law now is either state versus Lyndhurst.
State versus Failace.
No, or it's North Jersey Media Group versus Lyndhurst, I believe it is.
Oh, yeah, and we ran across that guy in another capacity and something else. And, I had to talk to him because he wouldn't talk to him.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. But that's why, that is the main reason why we had to break this up into two.
Yeah.
Because I also want to get into how taking somebody's life affected you because unless you're just a total psychopath, it had to bother you.
Again, no, the general public only sees TV police shootings.
For mine, it was when it was all over the news. It was a small clip of Ventnor police shoot and kill man, not armed or unarmed or anything like that. The video of him on the ground, and then our names at the bottom.
But if you watch like the movies and everything, they get involved in a shooting. Next thing you know, they're back in the office talking about it and everything. It's not like that.
No,
it's not like that.
Not at all.
It's completely different. You get sort of demoralized because I'm sure they took your gun.
You get totally emasculated.
Actually, they didn't.
They didn't take your gun.
They did not. So
they stripped me at the scene, took my uniform and everything.
So there is a lot of irregularities when it comes to mine. I got to the hospital. They didn't blood test me. They didn't piss test me. Doc gave me a Xanax because the state police shooting response team was outside trying to question me. My lawyer got there and was like, absolutely not. We're not
take a
doing
Xanax because you can't say anything.
Right, exactly. Long story short, I find out that he passes away there. That really upsets me because that was not my goal, was to take someone's life. Knowing that a suicide by cop is hard when you're taking someone's life because you are forced into an action that you do not want to do.
Exactly.
And you're trying to exhaust every option, and then you have to kill somebody who is going through an emotional time in their life, regardless if they're trying to kill you or not. But having somebody force you to kill them is hard. It's very, very hard to do.
Have you ever tried to stop and put yourself in his shoes?
I've tried, but I can't get myself there. I can't get myself there. And a lot of people tell me that. I have started to feel differently about it. In the beginning, I was like, you motherfucker, you ruined my life. Right. Yeah, 100%. It's exactly what it was. Like I wasn't able to say his name. I was like, fuck this dude. This dude's ruined my fucking life.
There's a mugshot of my guy, and I couldn't look at it for the longest time.
It's hard for some people to say their names, yeah.
It was plastered all over the newspapers, and I couldn't look at it. But the reason I say give it time is my initial reaction, and hopefully this will be what happens to you. My initial reaction with the guy who shot at me, I hated his guts because I felt that he ruined my life. He brought all this badness into my life, made me turn into this monster that I didn't like anymore, and I hated him. I absolutely hated him. I was mad at everybody. I was mad at the world.
Right.
Now, and I'm coming up on 10 years that this is gone. Now, here's my thought. What was going through his head that he did that?
Right.
What drove him to that point? I also came to terms that he wasn't, like, your guy was not mad at Mike Arena. He was mad at the world.
At the uniform.
Yeah.
He was
mad at the uniform too.
Yeah. He wanted to die. My guy was not shooting at Kevin Donaldson. He was shooting at a cop.
Right.
He wanted to end this pain. And so I have a lot of sympathy and a lot of compassion for what he had to get to shoot at a cop multiple times.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll get there, because I got to be honest with you, it's a much more peaceful place to sit.
Did your guy pass away?
No.
He's still alive?
No, he's still alive. He's actually living in Florida, and we
almost had him on the show.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend of his, which...
What?
One day, listen, if he were to sit in front of me, or we were to meet face to face...
We need metal detectors outside, though.
I used to want to punch him in the face. Now I'd probably give him a hug and say, "Listen, it's all good, brother. It's all good."
Wow.
It's all good.
You talk about a turn of events. Like,
Yeah.
damn. I mean, God bless you. I can tell you honestly, I'm not at that point yet. Hopefully, I will get there at some point. Some like doors have opened for me like this, like my nonprofit and stuff like that I probably would have never done if this didn't happen to me. So I know doors have opened for me since this and because of this. But yeah, that takes a lot of humility and a lot of guts, and you should be very proud of yourself that you're at that point.
Kevin and I had this conversation about having him on the podcast back in the day, but when we first started this, we were doing it in Kevin's basement.
Yeah,
right.
my wife would have had a big problem with it.
To bring the guy that shot at you into your basement.
Yeah.
And listen, I know where the guy is.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly where he is, and I know how to get in contact with him. We tried to get in contact with him through mutual friends and stuff, because we actually have a mutual friend of his, believe it or not.
John Lee?
You think he would be receptive to that?
I would hope so, because I think he needs to heal from it as much as I need to heal from it.
Right.
And listen, as far as podcasting goes, I'm good with it. As far as podcasting goes, I think it would be a great topic of conversation.
That would be an amazing episode. I don't know if anybody's really done something like that before.
But as you get further removed, you start looking at it through different eyes, because as you move on in your life, you're going to accomplish some really great things. And I've come to the place where, had I not been in that shooting, had Mike not been in his shooting, we wouldn't be here doing this. And I love doing this, and I know Mike loves doing this. So that one horrible incident, I had to go through some ugliness in order to get to where I feel like I belong. So I'm hoping everybody gets into that place.
That would be, I mean, I guess that would be a goal. I mean, is that something how like you feel too? Like, would you?
Like I said, your nonprofit would have never came about if you weren't in that incident.
Yeah.
Now your nonprofit's helping people, so now you have a different avenue in life where now you could help people because of the trauma that you went through.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're definitely right. I don't really.
Like, before your shooting, do you ever think you were going to have a nonprofit?
Absolutely not. I was literally just trying to do my 25 and out, like the rest of everybody else. Yeah. So,
what kind of aftershocks did you get from the shooting?
Oof.
And how did your department treat you? And like, let's go from the day of the shooting right thereafter.
So the day of the shooting, it was tough. I remember walking back after we put him on the stretcher, and I remember looking down at the ground where he was, and just a pool of blood on the side of the road. And I remember looking down, and there was a mushroomed bullet that fell out of him when we were moving him. Just kind of give the viewers a little bit of context. When we fired at him, we fired 6 rounds, about 3.5, 4 yards away, all in the just center mass. So think about what the exit wounds are looking like, right? So the round actually fell out of his back cavity. So I remember looking at that, and I guess you want another wow moment. That's a wow moment. If you ever see a mushroomed round, you're like, holy shit! Like just the velocity and inertia and everything that like compacts into that round.
Your body is bending metal.
Literally.
That shouldn't be bent.
100%.
And you're thinking like, what did that bullet hit on the way through?
Exactly. As I'm literally standing, there's just in his own pool of blood that I caused, or we collectively caused. I hate to make it about me, but that was a very traumatic moment in itself. So that's what really kicked everything off. That's what really started the spiral. The department was good that night. My guys were at the hospital. They were good to me. They were really, really good. They're the ones that told me, that like he passed. I kind of lost my shit in there a little bit. But got back to the PD. They took my gun. They actually gave me back another one because being in shootings, if you take an officer's weapon, right, it's like taking his identity. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. It's like taking your dick.
Right,
exactly. It's emasculating.
So, if your department's good if they give you another weapon. But state police took all the pictures and everything like that, the clothes, all that other shit. But what sucked is that what a lot of people don't understand is that this is a homicide investigation, and he's dead. We're alive. We caused the death. So it needs to be treated as such. So that night, we get our preliminary charges from the State Police Shooting Response Team of murder 1 and manslaughter. That sucked to hear.
Wow.
I just did my job. Not that this is our job to kill people, but
You did what you had to do.
I had to do what I had to do to save my own life, my partner's lives.
What you're expected to do, what you're trained to do, what you're paid to do.
Right. All of this finally comes to a head, and this happens. Now I'm getting these paperwork saying this is the preliminary charges that you were charged with. It's going to go in front of a grand jury. That was the second wow factor, the second shock.